Now, I'm not sure. I kind of missed the deadline to go see them. I'm not sure if I'm going to go see the Batman, to be honest. I've seen some clips of it. I won't tell you where, and I definitely will not link, but I've seen some clips. I've seen the plot. Um, Very reminiscent when you look at Gotham and Spider Man Noir, X Men Noir, and even, of course, you look at The Long Halloween. Many influences for that movie. I will say, from what I've seen, without having to see the movie, it's the best detective movie so far. But in terms of like Riddler being a killer, a cold blooded killer, we definitely look at Earth One Volume Two, written by Jeff Johns. I think Gary Frank is the artist. Is that right? Gary Frank. Um, this has the art from Supreme Power, and Jeff Johns. No explanation. He's done TV movie. He kind of writes Saturday morning kids kind of live action stuff, doesn't he? With Stargirl and Justice League and Aquaman. But this is dealing with Batman who killed his own parents. He killed his own parents accidentally. And like the plot of the Batman, without no spoilers for the movie, because I kind of know what happens and involves an important person, there was something wrong with, dealing with uh, one of Bruce Wayne's parents and the origins of Arkham Asylum. Now, here, I think that the Riddler's riddles are played out a little bit better here in the book than in the movie. In the movie, he kind of comes off as a sort of a Silence of the Lambs type of killer without getting too grotesque. He puts these poor people in an elevator through their own will and gives them a riddle or two. Who are you indeed? So the whole elevator explodes. There's nothing left, and people die. And of course, Batman's on his missions as he usually is. Here, Batman's stopping the criminals like he always does. And he's going to need a faster car, I think he says. Alfred in this one is not the same old Alfred we're used to seeing. The original Alfred was a fat dude, and then there was a 1940s serial that made him, the bald guy with a little mustache. This Alfred is a tough guy. He was a war veteran. So the plot of the earlier book, Volume 1, was that uh, Thomas Wayne was going to run for mayor, and it ended up being Oswald Cobblepot, uh, who also died in the first book. And there was a whole plot by Oswald Cobblepot of Earth One to take out Thomas and Martha Wayne, but somebody else beat him to it. And Bruce Wayne, indirectly killed his own parents. So we have a attack by Killer Croc. We'll see what that's about. We get a little introduction to Harvey Dent. These are the other cast of characters: Harvey Bullock and Jim Gordon. And Jim Gordon, of course, is Caucasian here, as he's always been. But no matter who plays Jim Gordon, you have to be convincing. And Harvey Bullock, there's no Harvey Bullock in the Batman movie, but Harvey Bullock has always been a prominent character, whether in Gotham or the animated series, which I think has the best mystery. In which, remember that episode of animated series where somebody wanted Harvey Bullock dead, and it was the person you least suspected. It was like somebody who was like an extra character, but then it's like, oh, it's this guy, and not the one he thought was a mobster or whatever. Anyway, this Harvey Bullock was a reality show guy who was like, hey, Jim, it's good to see you, right? And he had this very, very rose-colored Hollywood kind of flamboyant, clueless millennial point of view. He was the millennial guy. He wanted to like make it fun to go through Gotham City. And when he saw how bad Gotham City was, he started drinking from the first book. And now in the second book, he's more of a drunk. And he's like, you know, wow. It's very different, very, very different. Um, but I like some of the dynamics. And Jim Gordon in the first book had bowed to political corruption from the police and crooks who work with the police. A little bit more on Alfred, kind of reminiscent, kind of reminds you very much of what uh, Andy Serkis and Sean Pertwee from the Gotham TV show and the Batman movie. He doesn't have a leg, so I thought that was interesting. He has no leg, and he fought Bruce Wayne the first time to say you're not ready, but maybe he is ready to be Batman. So this is a different take. This is not the year one Batman that Frank Miller wrote all those years ago, all those decades ago. This is something different that I think for Jeff Johns, for all the stuff he does in live action that I kind of rolled my eyes at, was very good at depicting Alfred here. Now we get a good look at Jessica Dent. Now Jessica Dent is Harvey's little sister. Now the deal was that Harvey was a complete asshole. Um, he never liked Martha Wayne because her father was an inmate at Arkham Asylum. They helped fund and build the asylum, I think. So Martha Wayne, she had a crazy father, and so Harvey Dent did not like crazy, so he ended up just like kind of telling her, "Stay away from my sister." So there's this relationship. She's the new mayor, and Bruce Wayne. They have a relationship. It's kind of like Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale kind of thing. It's like there's love, there's a little bit of lust, but it's like there's tension, but definitely between Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne. Just the sister caught in the middle. There's the Riddler leaving more clues. And a few pages later, we see Bruce Wayne talk to Harvey Dent. Yeah, I don't want her to catch crazy from you. This is when Harvey was a child, and he did not like Bruce Wayne's mother at all, with the whole connection to Arkham. Your mom's in Arkham. Uh, you stay away from my sister. The way he talks to Bruce Wayne, it's like my oldest sister, talking to me after we had a really shitty fight, and it's like, oh, we're on civil terms. But there's an undertone of I'm going to do something shitty to you because I don't like you, but I'll be civil with you because of my sister. It's like he's trying to be an adult, and I find this irritating, but it's the way it is. Now, after all this, we get to the second riddle, crime murder that's going to happen here. It smells like green paint, pours like purple paint, and it looks like a white van. What is it? So you obviously know the answer. It's white paint, of course. This is easier to solve than Wordle, right? So they're pouring this gasoline all over them because they didn't solve the riddle in time, and then there's another explosion. So we got police, we got lieutenants here, there's Gordon, and everybody's rushing to figure out what happened here at this next crime scene. The Riddler leaves his next mark. Batman tracks down the Riddler, tries to catch up with him, and of course, no, that doesn't work out. Instead, he gets bludgeoned, and he ends up in this woman's apartment. So, she says she's got her kid in the other room. She didn't want him to see what's happened to Batman. So we kind of have an idea who this woman might be, but for now, we just let Batman tend to his wounds and get out of there as fast as possible. Surprising she didn't take off his mask. I guess she didn't want to take off his mask. Who knows? Could be ego. I thought they were afraid of me. Only the people who should be, right? Besides, we all know it's not true. What's not true? That you didn't kill Mayor Cobblepot. They said he was shot, but you don't have any guns, just these. So that's true. Alfred shot the Penguin in the first book. So there's a lot of dark stuff. It gets a bit noirish. And you don't see that. I mean, you didn't see that. You kind of saw a little bit of that in the original movies. The Nolan trilogy was straightforward, but Gotham TV show was a lot of world building, and it was a lot of noir. And so you have Alfred telling to Bruce Wayne as usual. Now, a courier leaves a Riddler-sized package, and that's when Jessica has to go and talk to Bruce Wayne as soon as possible, assuming she doesn't know he's Batman. But, that's the only person she can go to is Bruce Wayne. Meanwhile, he's gone off somewhere else. They figure out that during these two crime scenes, they figured out that there was sewage water involved in like footprints and all that. So the Riddler must be hiding in the sewers. I want you to teach me, detective, forensics crime scenes. So Batman's not that experienced in Earth 1. This Earth 1 Batman does not know much about being a detective, and that's why he asked Jim Gordon for help. It's like, oh, I'm not that great. It's kind of the same thing as what's happened with Robert Pattinson's Batman and forget the guy. I forget the guy. He's in Westworld. I remember, but anyway, the current Batman and Gordon have that kind of relationship where Batman's not super tough, but he gets tougher every year. So Batman has to go through the sewers to see if he can find the Riddler. He finds somebody else instead. stop, leave me alone, whoever you are, please. Killer Croc is not a killer. I don't eat people. I am one. I thought you were another Gothamite out to shoot me. Yeah, so yeah, there's a whole this Killer Croc is not a bad. He's very similar to Harold the mute sort of hunchback guy. There was a character named Harold who turned out to be working for Hush. Um, I can't remember his real name because they gave him a real Allnut, something Harold Allnut, I think. But he's very similar to that character where he's deranged, but he's not evil, and that's the difference between this Killer Croc and the one we're used to seeing. This is a man who was just born hideous. He's got a skin condition. He was never a mobster. He was never a bad guy. He was part of Mr. Haley's circus, which kind of links to Robin, which would be in the third book. But if you all want me to go over that with you, I can do that. So you try. Yeah, this is a conversation, but Killer Croc is going his own way. Now, if you pay attention to the first book, you kind of see that this is familiar. And all this time, we haven't seen the Riddler's face. In the first book, we saw the back of Riddler, and then we keep seeing, like, very close-up shots, or just, we haven't really seen the Riddler. We don't get to see very much of him because he's always in the shadows. Riddler makes it known to him who he is, of course, because he's invaded the secret lair. He can get to all the secrets. He blows up the place so Batman gets out, and he's telling them what his next plot is. He's rigged the first class car of the Gotham L train with enough explosives to kill everyone on board. Here's a riddle that he hopes works. I'm part of the bat that's not in the sky. I can swim in a lake in the moonlight and yet remain dry. Who am I, right? So, or what am I? And he says a shadow, because the shadow knows, right? He gave him the answer, but the Riddler's just not going to have it. So what does he do? Of course, he blows the whole thing up anyway, because it doesn't matter to him. It didn't matter what he wanted. He was going to kill people anyway. But there's a rhyme and reason to all this. Now, this is names. So he has these names, Crane, Drake, Pierce, Black, on a map. And it's about the 5 people who took control of Cobblepot's empire after he died. So the Riddler didn't care if I answered his question. These are not random acts of violence. He covers up the real murders. He's killing many to hide one. So it's not... Riddler's motivations for killing is not linked to Batman or Bruce Wayne, but it's more connected to the Penguin. You think the Riddler's one of the 5 families taking the other 4 out. So maybe you would make a good detective after all. So this is a very different Batman. It's not going to be the one people will admire that much, but when you read this book and the other 2 books, you kind of get a feeling this is a Batman that's very green, and he doesn't know how to shoot a grappling gun very well, but he gets somewhere. And I did enjoy these books. Somebody said that Rise and Fall, I think they clickbaited a YouTube video, but I don't think so. I think that it didn't need to have a series like most comic book series. It needed to be good. So we wrap this up. So instead of a weapon used to kill Jessica Dent, it's a note saying you will stop asking questions. So basically, I'll stop killing people after Batman's arrested. And here's a scene that's reminiscent of Vicky Vale walking into the Batcave, in which they have a conversation about what his dual life is like. And this mystery takes an even stranger turn. All the victims, not only were they linked to the Penguin, but their money was drained to this company called Azures Incorporated, which of course is linked to, it's owned by Bruce Wayne. So could this be more misdirection? What could this be about? Is this really about Bruce Wayne? So it seems that we're going in so many different directions, but let's see. We share the love, we share the pain. 2 sides of the same thing, Bruce. How nice. Oh, wait, we have a warrant to search the premises. I gotta read that. Let me see that warrant. Where's Bruce? So, there's a whole fight going on, and it's getting a little out of hand. So after this fight, and he gets knocked out, and he gets tased. Don't tase me, bro. Stay the hell away from my sister. But just when things get low, just in time, the Riddler reveals himself, or we see the Riddler. Looks like Jack Nicholson almost. So everybody's in jail. So what's happening now? So just when things are calm, because people think that Bruce Wayne might be the Riddler, the real Riddler himself stages a whole jailbreak, and everybody breaks out. Chaos ensues. Batman's got to come in. So here's one of the final riddles. There's a criminal in a cell waiting to leave, but there are no windows or cracks in the walls. He has no tools, and the door to his cell is 5 inches of solid steel. But he still escapes. How does he do that? Of course, the damn door was already open, but it doesn't matter because he's still going to kill people. Now, during this whole chaos of the jailbreak, Harvey tries to protect his sister as best he can, but it doesn't work. He gets he gets a Molotov cocktail thrown at him, and he burns to death on the wrong side of his face. Of course, if you know your Two-Face history, he tells her, don't let me die. And it's the saddest thing, and this is very problematic here. Jessica, we need to go now. So she's angry. He's dead, my brother. He's gone. Oh yeah, this is a different Jessica now. 8 seconds. The Riddler tries to trick him, but Batman tries to outsmart him with his own riddle, and the Riddler just has to be one step ahead of him, or one block ahead of him, and he takes him out. He tries to have one last thing, one last trick, but he's no match for the Killer Croc. Killer Croc gets some bullet holes, but he'll survive. And the Riddler's identity has yet to be verified. He's kind of worse than the Joker. Everybody's recovering. We still have yet to know the Riddler's true motivations. There is Jessica. She's not the same person. She has become Two-Face. And that's for another book, another volume, which I have read, and I love that volume because you think about Harvey Dent and his sister. But yeah, she's in 2 personalities now. Gordon has been promoted to captain. Waylon Jones is staying with Batman, much like Harold the Hunchback. And so they're going to take the car and move it somewhere else. That's under Fox. Lucius Fox is taking care of that. And the woman we see at the end, of course, who could it be? It is Catwoman. It is Catwoman. That I like this one. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Who is Batman? Who was the Riddler?